Today we are talking about the Heritage Rough Rider and why I think it's just a fantastic little revolver for a really great price. How's it going, guys? And welcome to the Hopeful Homestead. My name is Chad and you're out here right now with me at my little campsite I built next to my little tiny cabin on wheels that I've parked out here on my family's 21-acre homestead that we're calling the Hopeful Homestead. We're gonna be building our forever home right over there here over the next 12 months, and I'm super excited about that. But for now, I've got this little campsite here. I've got a few shooting targets over here, a couple of hanging steel plates, a couple of flip back targets. If you're a regular on this channel, you know I talk a lot in my cabin and out here by the campfire and stuff. With Coffee Talk, I do the Coffee Talk series where I talk a lot about all the difficult things in life we have to deal with as husbands and dads. I try to talk to all the men out there about some difficult stuff. And a lot of times we talk about firearms, we talk about guns. For a long time coming, people have been requesting that I start making shooting videos, actually showing the guns in action. So here's the first one of that series. I'm gonna be doing a weekly gun review in some form, shape, or form here going forward for 2026. And today I wanted to start things off with my favorite 22 revolver that I own, the Heritage Rough Rider. It is truly a great value for what this thing can do and what it is. It's all steel and wood. You know, if you've seen some of my other videos, I talk about how much I love steel and wood compared to polymer and plastic and batteries and everything. And for the price of, like, I think this was like 120 bucks. And the fact you can swap the cylinder out, you can have 22 long rifle or you can have 22 Magnum in here. I mean, if you got a 6-inch barrel, 5.5-inch barrel, whatever this is, with a 22 Magnum in this, I mean, that's a formidable cartridge, a formidable round. You know, for wildlife defense, for handling pests and snakes and coyotes. I mean, 22 Magnum is more than enough for any of that. And believe me, 22 Magnum will, even 22 long rifle will take care of a two-legged threat just as easily with the proper shot placement. And so for me, this is one of the guns that I just love to plink with because it's cheap to shoot. It was cheap to buy, cheap to shoot, and it's a lot of fun to use on the range. And in a pinch, it can be something you could defend your family with if you've got a really small budget. And honestly, it's what I stay proficient in because I do have single action. This is a single action, sort of a Colt single action Army clone. It's different, but it's similar in a lot of ways. But I do have actual Colt single action Army clones that are in 45 Colt that I carry as part of what I actually, you know, defend my property with here. And while I do shoot those regularly as well, I don't shoot them anywhere near as much as I do my 22s because 45 Colt is expensive, and you know, I don't want to be burning through my ammunition I'm trying to stockpile with it, and also it's just expensive to shoot. So that's where having 22 long rifle versions come in handy. And this little revolver is a similar form factor to a lot of the other pistols I have. And so I practice with this thing, you know, getting my sight picture, putting rounds on target, the mechanics of loading and unloading, you know, even practicing fanning the hammer, having a little fun with it. It's easy to do with this gun. And so before we head over to the targets and start shooting this gun a little bit, I'm gonna give you a little close-up rundown of the gun, its features, and its build quality. All right, so as you can see here, this is a close-up of the Heritage Rough Rider. The finish on these will vary heavily from model to model because obviously it's Heritage is an affordable company, and you know the guns they produce can be a quality item or it could be a complete piece of junk. It's just a matter of what comes out of their factory, and that's part of the risk you take when buying a $100 revolver. But I do love that, you know, this particular one has been really good for me. It's been reliable. I've not had any malfunctions with it, and its finish has stayed exactly the way it was when I first got it. I do have the 22 long rifle cylinder in this right now, not the 22 mag, but I did replace the grips on this. As you can see, this is buffalo nickel grips, which actually have real buffalo nickels mounted inside of it on both sides, mind you. And this is real wood as well. I'm not sure what type of wood. It's like a rosewood material, but it's got some nice checkering to it. And the grips, ever since I put them on about a year and a half ago, have not loosened. They've not gotten fiddly or anything. They're nice and firmly on there, and the fit and finish to the frame of the gun is very nice. It has no problem with that. It's easy to take the cylinder out, pushing this little button here and pulling the rod out and be able to get the cylinder out. It's very easy to clean this gun, and being that it is a single action, you know, you have one click for the safety notch, 2 clicks to load and free up the cylinder, and then the 3 and 4 clicks for being able to fully cock the gun. And this model is, as you can see, it does have a safety right here that you can turn on by flipping that up or flipping it down. I pretend that doesn't exist. I just leave it off to where it's ready to fire all the time so that it's more like my actual 45 Colt single action army clones that don't have safeties. I practice with this as if it doesn't have a safety, just like I obviously would be doing with my other guns. And as you can see, it's got the loading gate on this side. You pop open. This loading gate is a different metal material from the rest of it. It's a little bit cheaper of a material, but it flips open no problem. It has not gotten loose or, you know, started to be fiddly in any way for me. And you flip that down, you half cock it, and then you can use the ejector rod to eject rounds out, as you can see right there. You spin if you don't know how the single action army works, this is how you unload all your spent cartridges, your casings. You punch each one out with that guy right there. And I will say, about one of the only pieces of plastic on this gun is the actual little handle on that ejection rod. It's plastic. And the rod itself is metal. The spring is obviously metal. The housing for it is metal. It's not plastic mounted to a, you know, it's all metal. The only thing is that little piece is plastic right there. And then I think the safety mechanism might be plastic as well, from what I can tell. But everything else is metal. But as you can see, this does have the firing pin located inside of the frame here that the, you know, hammer without a firing pin will hit as it fires the gun. And as far as sights go, you can see that this thing has a nice front blade and a grooved rear sight that you line up when firing it. You line it up looking down the sights. You line that top blade with the flush of the grooves in the rear to be able to aim that gun. And just so you guys know, I've already run through it, but you can see this thing is completely empty. No bullets in here. This whole time I'm handling this gun in this video, it is empty. But that's the Heritage Rough Rider. This is the traditional model, the one that they sell a lot of, and you can get this one with the stock grips for about 120 bucks. And pretty much every local gun store and national store, everything carries these guns. These are popular for a reason, because they're cheap and they're fun to shoot. And if it breaks, it ain't the end of the world, because it's a $100 revolver. But all right, I think enough of this close-up. Let's go ahead and head over to the targets and put some rounds through this thing. All right, we're at the shooting table now. Got the Heritage Rough Rider right here, and we're gonna be putting some rounds on target, and we're gonna be using some of my favorite 22 long rifle ammo. It's Herter's target ammo from Bass Pro. These are 36 grain plated hollow points, 22 long rifle. These are traveling at about, I think if I remember correctly, about 1,200 feet per second. It's a great value for what they offer. All right, got the ammo ready. Let's go ahead and pop open the loading gate, and you just load one round at a time. Part of the fun of shooting single action 22s is that, you know, it takes a while to load. And part of the fun of shooting is heading to the range and the entire experience, right? Being able to load each round individually. You're having to punch, got them all in there. Having to punch each round out when you're done, and I'll show you that in a second. That's fun. So it takes longer to burn through a lot of ammunition, which is nice. I like the therapeutic nature of being at the range, putting rounds on target, plinking steel, and just getting a little bit of that me time therapy. And a 22 revolver, 22 long rifle, single action revolver, and maybe a 22 lever gun, you know, you can spend hours out there and only burn through a few hundred rounds at most and have a lot of fun. And that's kind of the point, right, of plinking steel with 22s. It's just fun. But all right, let's see here. I've got, just so you know, I've clearly got a camera on my head. That's why my hat's turned backwards. I've got a camera right here that I'm talking to you guys, and I've got another camera up here that is a 360 cam that's gonna be capturing the plates being hit by the steel, as well as me shooting the gun. So without any further ado, the Heritage Rough Rider. Let's see here, go one-handed to start. Whew. Oh, forgot my ears. 22 long rifle isn't that bad. If you forget your ears, it's not that bad to handle. Revolver's a little bit loud, but you know, it is what it is. But all right, hit the first target. We're about 10 yards or so, 10, 15 yards from the targets, which is about all I care about hitting targets with a pistol. Anything longer than that, I'd rather have a rifle or I'm fleeing the scene. So let's go ahead and hit the next smallest target. Good. Next smallest target. Right on the money. The tiniest target, one-handed, 15 yards. No problem. Let's do some of these flip back targets. Got it. That was the last round. That was 6. So now, once again, you half cock it, open the loading gate, and then use the ejector rod to punch those suckers out one at a time. And it's a good, helpful tip. When you're punching these out, don't be punching them out against gravity. You know, tilt the gun up. It's a safe gun at this point because it's empty, and you're punching each round out, down, onto the ground. And if you're in a private place like me, I like to collect old spent casings on the ground. But all right, let's load up a few more. Half cock it. Let's load all these up. It's just fun, you know, just plink and steel with cheap ammo, with a cheap gun. No guilt. No guilt involved here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those flip back targets. I think I'm going to try to hit all 6 of those now. Let's see. All right, gonna go 2 hands for this. 1 down. 2 down. Oh, missed. 3, 4, 5. Not bad. All out. I think I'll load up another 6 rounds and show you guys what fanning the hammer is like on this thing. And as a pro tip, whenever I'm done with the 6 rounds, I always try to dry fire another just to make sure that my count wasn't off. And, you know, and every now and then there'll be another live round that, you know, you thought you shot 6, you only shot 5. It's a good general practice to have with a revolver to make sure you don't have an extra round in there when you don't think there is. I'm gonna set the hammer down so that it's ready to be fanned. And I'll show you, I'm gonna try to hit the big plate, the big target. With fanning the hammer, what you do is you take the gun, hammer's down, you pull on the trigger before you're ready to fire. You have that trigger pulled and you hold it down. And for me, with fanning the hammer, it's not as much about using your left hand to hit the hammer as it is using both while pushing the gun forward as you're doing it, sort of pointing where you want to send the rounds down target to. So let's see how that goes here. From the hip, here we go. Got one. Got one. Try again. Oh, look at that, live round. Well, we got one. Out of 6, we got one. Firing from the hip at 15 yards. That's one of the ways you could deploy a single action revolver if you had to in a pinch. You know, and you don't have time to aim and you're just drawing and just putting rounds at a threat that's like running up on you. If it's like a wild boar or something, you know, wild animal that's running up on you, you pull out and you just bang, bang, bang. Maybe you try to get 3 or 4 off real quick. Maybe it scares the animal, scares the threat, causes them to pause or retreat, and then you can cock that hammer and aim and take care of the threat after that. So I think it's a good thing to do. It's a good thing to practice fanning the hammer a little bit. It's fun, for one, and 2, it allows you to have another way of executing your firearm in a different way. Let's load one more cylinder up and that'll be it for this video. Just for fun, just for kicks. Maybe back up a little bit and try to hit the targets from a little bit further of a distance. But like I said, 10, 15 yards, it's about the max I really care to be proficient with a pistol. Just because, like I said, if it's longer than that, I'm preferring a rifle, and if it's longer than that, you know, I could potentially get away without putting rounds at a threat that from that far away with a pistol. So, all right, let's back this thing up a little bit. Say that we're probably gonna be at about 20-ish yards now. Big plate first. No problem. Next smallest plate. No problem. Next smallest plate. No problem. Smallest target. Here we go, from 20, 25 yards. With a cheap gun, cheap sights. Hit it. Bonus round, going to the flip targets. Oh, missed that one. All right, that's it. Let's take these ears out. January in South Florida, nice and sweaty and hot. Who would have thought? It's supposed to be the one time a year I get a break from the heat down here, but I guess God has other plans this year. But all right, that's the Heritage Rough Rider. Fun to shoot and cheap to load. But all right, that's gonna do it for today's video, all about the Heritage Rough Rider. I think everyone who enjoys revolvers should have one in their collection just because it's so cheap to shoot, and it's just a great thing to have. There's really no downside to having one. Again, my name is Chad, this is the Hopeful Homestead, and I hope you stick around to follow our journey as we're building our forever home here, and to follow along with more gun reviews, and come watch some of my coffee talks where we talk about all the difficult things in life as husbands and dads. If you feel like sticking around, I've got a video right here that's actually a tour of this campsite in my little tiny cabin, and talking about everything we plan to do here on the property and showing you guys exactly what is going into the Hopeful Homestead. So click on that and I'll see you over there in that video. Thanks for watching, guys.